All right, well, top of the morning to you all. Happy President's Day to those of you that are out there watching today. Hopefully you are able to take a little bit of time off today. So today we're going to start this new thing on Mondays called Monday Morning Motivation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually replicate with you all what we did in our clinics every single Monday to make sure that we had a great week. And really, in order for us to have a great week this week, it starts with the week prior. So I'm going to dig into that for you today in our little Facebook Live here. Because, you know, there's frankly nothing worse than coming in and looking at the books on a Monday morning and going, ugh, this is not going to be a very big week. And looking that you have more follow-up appointments than you do actual new appointments of people that are looking to get procedures done. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how to make sure that each and every single week is a winning week and what you need to be doing. And this, again, this is the exact same thing that we were doing in our clinics in order to make sure that we had great weeks. It's really another one of the key components of how we were able to grow from 0 clinics to 3 clinics in 18 months and do it, quite frankly, using these kind of tools, and we did it really without that much cash. So we're going to dig into that today. But before we get started, if you are interested in getting what I like to call quantum leap growth, I'm not talking incremental growth. I'm talking about really great, big, massive growth that really transforms your practice in a very short amount of time and doesn't require a huge influx, if any influx of massive capital. We're not talking about expanding your staff. I'm not talking about you getting brand new office space. I'm talking about you getting real cold hard cash into your practice. Then why don't you just head over to srpmedicalmarketing.com/call and schedule a call with me. I'm happy to talk with you specifically about how you can experience quantum leap growth in your practice over the next 90 days and beyond. I can make such a statement because, quite frankly, I've done it a number of times, not only in my practices, but in other practices that we work with and partner with. So let's talk about you having great results this week. Now, here's the big little secret that you need to know is that your ability to have a great week this week is not dependent on this week. It's actually dependent upon last week, all right? So let me explain. So one of the big fears that when I talk with doctors is it's this never-ending day in, day out like roller coaster. You know, you have that great day, you do maybe $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000, and man, you're like, yeah, I feel great, everything's awesome. But then you have like the next day where you do like 2 and you're like, oh God, the world's gonna end, what's gonna happen? Well, it doesn't need to be that way. What we wanna do is we wanna even that out. You're gonna have peaks and valleys, right? I mean, that's gonna happen. But we wanna have just kind of a baseline that we know that even if you fall out of bed and you're half sick, you can still do $5 grand, $6 grand, $7,000 in a day because you've built the systems to be able to do that. So let me explain how these systems work. So I'll tell you with a little bit of a story. So when we started experiencing pretty strong growth, my partner and I, who ran the management company, when we first started, we were the ones who were answering the phones. We were the ones who were checking patients in. We were the ones who were walking patients back. We were the ones who were assisting the doctor and all of that. It was really, you know, it was a very, very small staff. But when we started doing $150,000 or $200,000 a month, we very quickly had to grow. And so we went from having 4 employees to having 10 or 12 very, very quickly. And yeah, you want to do procedures and all of that, but it became very challenging because I was general managing partner, how do I manage all this? And then when we went to our second facility, and that was an hour away, north part of town, and then we opened our third, which is 2.5 hours away, how do we manage all of this? Well, what we did was we came up and started utilizing a couple of key performance indicators. Are known as KPIs, okay? These KPIs are what you need to use to manage your business, and it's everything that you ever needed to know about having your business run successfully. I want you to think of it this way. I want you to think of it as you have a patient who comes in, and this patient gets blood work. You can look at their blood work results, and you can tell me how that patient is doing. You can tell me whether that patient has a risk for a heart attack or a stroke, or they have low T or whatever, right? It's the same thing with your KPIs. This is think about it, it's daily blood work. If you were to take blood work daily, or you were to look at the vitals daily of a patient, this is what you look at each and every single time. It's where you begin your analysis of whether or not the patient is getting better or getting more sick, okay? So these KPIs, a couple of key ones that I like to focus in on that I think are critical is first and foremost, first one is how many new patient appointments did we book the week before, okay? So all of this can be distilled down to very simple math, okay? If we book 10 new appointments, if the week prior we booked 10 appointments, new patients, we would wind up with about 70% of them who would show up. So, so anyway, if we have 10 patients that book the week before, then we would have hopefully 7 of them, 70% would show up that next week. Okay, so the first things first is you need to set a key performance indicator for your staff for them to follow each and every single day and week of how many new patient appointments do we need to book, okay? That's the first one. And I would set that goal of, book 20 new appointments per week. Now, it doesn't mean that if the week prior that all those appointments are going to show up the next week, okay? But if we just focus on booking 20 new appointments, new patient appointments every single week, within a couple of weeks, you're going to be busier than you could ever imagine, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing I want you to focus in on is how many of those patients show. What's the percentage, okay? So last week you would have said, okay, we were booking 20 appointments. Let's say that you booked 10. Well, you know that you've got some work to do. So you need to come out, maybe come up with a special, maybe come up with some kind of incentive for the staff for them to be able to book. You need to do something to change that behavior if you only booked 10 and your goal was 20. All right, so you need to come up with some kind of incentive. Maybe bonus the staff. Maybe say, okay, we book 20 appointments next week. I'll buy everybody lunch on Wednesday, okay? Whatever you can do to just kind of motivate that a little bit. The second thing is show. We want to have a show rate of at least 70% of those patients who come in, okay? Again, you want to incentivize this, you want to track this. So each and every single Monday, you want to say, okay, last week we booked 10 appointments, we needed to book 20. Here's some ideas of things that we can do in order to improve that. The second thing is, last week our goal was to have 70% of the appointments show. The good news is that we had 85% of the new appointments show. And then the third thing is what's your weekly revenue, okay? How much revenue are you going to do per week? If you are doing $25,000 to $30,000, if you were just going to sit there and say, well, I want to do $7,500 a week, put a stretch goal out there. Put a goal out there of what you want to make. If you want to make $50,000 a month or $60,000 a month, then tell people that you want to do $15,000. You want to do $15,000 per week. It's that simple. Now you may only be at 7,500, but when you start setting that number higher, people are going to start thinking differently. Okay, you've got to just trust me on this. If you set a big number, people are going to think differently about how they can hit that number, especially if you're incentivizing them. Okay, so now this is one of the ways that you create quantum growth. And quantum growth isn't incremental. It isn't improving $1,000 a week. We want to have big growth. We want to keep that big growth expanding. Okay, so quantum growth is something that can be manufactured. The key is you need to understand all the components that go into it. If you would like to talk to me specifically about how to have quantum growth in your practice, to be able to grow your practice exponentially, to be a multiplier, to experience 5 and 10x growth in your practice over the next, say 90 days or next 6 months, then all you have to do is just go to srpmedicalmarketing.com/call. You'll set up a call with me, and I'll ask you some very quick key questions about your practice, and then we'll dive into it, okay? So let's wrap this up here. I want to make sure that you all understand this. What I want you to do is you've got to focus in on KPIs, your key performance indicators. I want you to focus in on how many new appointments are you booking per week. We want to see that around 20. Your show rate, I want to see that show rate up over 70% each and every single week. And the third thing is set yourself a stretch goal of how much revenue you're going to do per week in order for you to have the kind of growth that you want. All right, I've got to run. Actually, I have another call with someone, but just remember, go to srpmedicalmarketing.com/call, CALL, to set up a call with me so that you can experience your quantum growth. And I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great day.